The guy sits in front of his fortune-telling grandfather, who promises to predict all troubles and failures. The hero's name is Jeff, he is the youngest son in the family, he wants to know how many years he will live. The grandfather does not understand why the guy needs this information, because in his right eye there is the light of the stars, in 3 days he will begin to see again. Jeff explains that his eye is a fake, he lost it 3 years ago to save a man. The guy gets up from his chair, he doesn't believe that everything his grandfather said is true. Jeff takes the old man's words as a blessing and thanks him. The main character says that fate is harsh, and going blind at a young age is like death. The guy's eye burns with a strong and sharp pain, from which he groans and leans on the bench. Jeff is very worried, afraid that he will go blind right now. Suddenly, something changes. Strange changes have occurred in the guy's eye. The chief begins to see information about every person on a busy street. Jeff does not understand what just happened, he is very scared and surprised at the same time. A little boy appears in the information space in front of the guy, he greets him, calling him his brother. The hero jumps on the spot in horror, thinking that he sees a ghost in front of him. It turns out that the boy's name is Mason and he is the supercomputer in Jeff's right eye, being the only artificial intelligence model in the world that is capable of independent thought. The hero is still very scared, but the boy cannot yet explain everything to him. Mason points to a girl in a lilac dress from the crowd, saying that she is in danger. The girl trips over a fountain pen flying at her and flies forward at high speed. She falls and then an information board standing on the street falls on her. The guys are shocked by what is happening, they look at the whole situation with bewilderment. Jeff jumps up and runs towards the girl, he catches the handle before the irreparable happens. The hero asks the boy from his eye what happened now. It turns out that Mason has compiled an approximate model of the situation based on all the data. The boy does not know how to predict the future, this is just his forecast based on the available data. People with strong destructive energy approach the guys. Many men in business suits who arrived in expensive cars walk towards the guys. Jeff doesn't understand who they are, but Mason, in turn, is happy, calling them cool. These guys have more strength than any ordinary person, their life story is classified, they say that they come from military organizations. Jeff begins an analysis of his body, toxins are neutralized, blood clots are eliminated, muscles are strengthened. One of the men in a business suit approaches the main character and says that his boss wants to meet with him. Jeff is surrounded on all sides and asked to come with them. The guy climbs into one of the cool guy's cars because he has no other choice. With the help of artificial intelligence, Jeff's body begins to correct his facial features and appearance. A blonde girl with long hair is sitting in the car with the hero. The blonde recognizes the guy sitting opposite her and asks where he has been for 3 years. The main character remembers this time. On this day 3 years ago he saved a girl and it ended badly for him, because he lost his eye. Muscles are strengthened by 235%, facial features change according to the golden ratio standard. The girl admits that she is the one he saved 3 years ago, she greets him and introduces herself, her name is Kathleen. The girl covers her mouth with her hand and, surprisingly for herself, says that Jeff is very handsome. The main character does not understand what happened to his face, but the boy inside him explains that he changed his facial features using electric current and now Jeff's face corresponds to more than 90% of the ideals of beauty. The girl says that she has been looking for Jeff for 3 years in order to avoid noise from the media, she asks not to worry about him because she will pay him for his help. Thanks to his new information eye, the guy takes into account all the information about the girl sitting opposite him. The girl offers to hush up the situation with money, but suddenly she receives a call from her father on her phone. He asks the girl if she has found Jeff, she reassures her father and says that she will solve everything in the best way, but he asks to bring the guy to him. Kathleen tells Jeff that he should now see one person, but he does not understand who he is talking about. The girl explains that the main character should meet with her father, the richest man in the city. The guy is not against such an invitation, and accepts it with great respect. The hero asks Kathleen why she is so cold towards him if we consider him our savior. The girl opens up and says that since childhood, people from her environment have always had bad intentions towards her. John is confused because the first time the boy guessed the girl's future on the road, and then allowed him to perceive a variety of things, he does not understand where he came from. Mason is a simple Type 3 computer with weak artificial intelligence, his mind is equivalent to that of an 8-year-old child, he can use the full power of the internet and billions of programs for calculations. The boy doesn't know exactly where he came from, but there is a code name in his program, namely Emperor 9. The guy's muscles increased by 268%, he could become even stronger if he had a little more protein in his body. Kathleen doesn't understand what Jeff is going to do and looks at him indignantly, crossing her arms. The hero explains that he just decided to read a book. He clarifies that the girl should not be so embarrassed, because he is not going to marry her. The blonde catches herself thinking that the guy is smiling very sweetly. Jeff calmly reads the book, not paying any attention to the embarrassed girl. The eyes start the scanning process, auxiliary memory and speed reading skills are activated. The guy flips through the book very quickly. In the meantime, the development of conversational skills is being established. Now he can only speak essentially, speak grammatically correctly, speak politely. Kathleen doesn't understand why John treats books this way. She says that if he doesn't like to read, it doesn't mean that books can be ruined. Jeff explains to the girl that he just likes to use paper fans. The blonde is angry with the guy, but he smiles calmly and pretends that everything is fine. The guys arrive at a huge mansion with a garden and a swimming pool. Cleanliness and tranquility reign around. Jeff and Kathleen are met by two twin girls. They don't understand what their father was thinking when he asked them to meet the guest on the street, because he doesn't even have a job. Even though he saved his sister, there is no need to invite him. A blonde man appears next to the girls, reassures them that the father may have reasons for inviting this guy to their house, but they believe that he needs to be taught a lesson. A blonde girl and the main character get out of the car. They look self-confident. Don't worry about anything. The girls admire Jeff's beauty and throw away all their past thoughts about his personality. The guy calls the twins beautiful, and they, in turn, admire his sincerity. Kathleen introduces her older sister and she meets Jeff. Next, the main character meets a fair-haired man named Nicholas, the blonde son-in-law. He greets him. They exchange a strong handshake. Mason is very worried that due to the increased secretion of the adrenal glands, which respond to stress, the heart rate increased at the moment when Jeff met his older sister. The main character does not understand what the boy sitting in his eye means, to which he replies that perhaps the blonde man is angry with the guy. The son-in-law pats Jeff on the shoulder, saying that now they will be a family, and if the guy has any problems, he can count on his help. Mason tells the main character that this guy is lying, because his body responds to stress. He very angry. Jeff says that he is exaggerating and he and his son-in-law are not family. Kathleen tells the guy that there are 5 sisters in the family, and the second sister is now abroad, but he clearly should have heard about her. Jeff realizes that Mary, the second sister, is a popular actress. Kathleen introduces her twin systems. Their names are Kaya and Ava. Twin girls are shy and embarrassed, saying that a guy can call them a shorter version. The main character smiles. He is pleased to meet the 2 sisters. He calls them by name. One of the sisters says that they set the table for dinner, but the father has not arrived yet, so they can now look at the estate. Nicholas invites the main character to shoot with a bow. Jeff smiles slyly, and yet agrees with pleasure to shoot sound with this man. The guys come to the targets. Standing near them, the blonde man reassures the main character, saying that he is just an amateur, although he once won 6 world championships, but that is long in the past. Nicholas asks Jeff if he knows how to shoot a bow. If the answer is no, he can teach. The loading of archery skills is completed. Now the hero is a professional in this matter. They are enough to win. The guy tells Nicholas that he knows how to shoot a little, but suggests sparring. Kaya and Ava are very worried about the outcome of the battle, because the blonde man is very strong in this sport. Jeff reassures them, asking them not to worry, he will not lose face. Nicholas agrees to spar. He is confident of his victory. One of the twins suggests adding a punishment. The loser will eat something upside down on her live broadcast. Nicholas agrees to her proposal. Jeff doesn't mind this punishment either. His muscles and shooting skills have increased exponentially, so he shouldn't lose. Nicholas takes his bow and arrows, pulls the string and aims at the target. He starts first. The arrow quickly covers the entire distance and arrives exactly at the target. The girls admire their son-in-law. They consider his skills incomparable. Jeff can only win if he hits the distant target. The twin girls laugh at the hero, saying that few people can cope with such equipment. Most likely the guy will lose. Nicholas does not look down on the main character. He simply believes that with this bow and arrow, he will not be able to shoot an arrow 5 meters. Jeff offers to argue, since Nicholas is so sure of his defeat. The hero invites him to stand in front of the target. if he has the courage, of course. The blonde man, without hesitating for a second, agrees and walks towards the targets. Jeff calmly takes out an arrow and pulls the bowstring, aiming at the target. He is confident that he will get it. The guy asks the sisters if the sight of blood makes them sick. Everything is ready, everyone has taken their positions and the main character can only release the bowstring. The arrow with enormous force hits exactly the center of the target near Nicholas's head. The man is in shock. He did not expect such an outcome. The blonde man falls to the ground with a crash, holding his chest in his hand. Ava runs towards her brother-in-law, rushing to help, and Kaya approaches Jeff, saying that he has gone too far and she should tell her big sister to kick him out. The main character smiles and says that it was just a competition. Nicholas agrees with him, they just wanted to compete and there is nothing wrong with that. The man approaches Jeff and, placing his hand on his shoulder, admits that he is good at archery. Now he is afraid to get into conflict. Nicholas walks towards the house, saying that there is enough competition for today, and calls the others to the table. Mason tells Jeff that he saw a man break an iron arrow in his hand just out of anger. People don't react like that. The dining table is full of treats, delicious food prepared especially for guests. All those present take their seats, waiting for the head of the house. While everyone is waiting for their father to arrive, the main character thinks about how Nicholas is doing with supernatural magic. Perhaps he once practiced witchcraft. Suddenly, the father of all 5 sisters enters the dining room with his attendant holding his hand. Kathleen and Nicholas get up from the table and direct their gaze towards the entrance when they see him. First of all, the father approaches Jeff, greets him and calls him a handsome guy. He invites all the guests who came to his house to the table. The father apologizes to the main character for the fact that it took 3 whole years to find Jeff. He asks if he knows something about his family and organization. The guy is taken aback by the surprise of the question and answers that he knows some information. The father explains that he asked Jeff to come to his estate in order to offer him to become an adopted son. The main character is very surprised by this proposal and falls into a stupor. Nicholas also does not understand this statement and is outraged by it. He gets up and goes to his father, saying that he needs to think about this better. Jeff guesses that Nicholas's skepticism towards him was due to the fact that he would take the shares away from the family. The father has nothing to think about, because he wants to accept the hero as his own son. Ada thinks that this is wrong, and Kathleen tries to convince her father, saying that they should not pay him in this way, even though he saved her. The head of the family says that Jeff lost his right eye in order to save his daughter, and now they owe him a lot. The blonde was shocked by what she heard. She did not know such details. Jeff doesn't know how to explain to this family that there's nothing wrong with his eye, and he's acquired a bunch of superpowers to boot. Mason tells the guy that he should eat immediately, because strengthening his muscles used up a lot of elements from his body. Jeff, with a sharp movement, tears off a leg of chicken and begins to eat it, despite the serious dialogue. The twin girls note that the guy's life is really pathetic, and the father was telling the truth. The head of the family asks the butler to bring the main character more water, and as soon as possible. Jeff continues to eat as much food as possible and his physical condition is improving. In an attempt to attract attention, Nicholas brings his father a bottle of vintage wine, offering to try it. Standing behind her, the man explains in a whisper that the main character was born in poverty and has few virtues. If they accept him into the family, then inevitable shame awaits them. He offers to give him some money and let him just have a good time at their mansion. Nicholas invites everyone to start tasting wine. He believes that Jeff should start, because he has never tried such delights. The main character shows his high knowledge of this topic, and says that this wine is a good way to profit from the rich. The father does not understand what he means and asks the guy to explain. Jeff calmly says that the wine is so expensive because there was a severe drought in the region where it was produced, which led to a reduction in production. But due to drought, the grapes that year turned out to be unripe and bad. Therefore, the wine of 83 and 84 will never compare with the wines of 90. Nicholas is indignant and says that the guy is lying, to which he replies that he does not know his taste, asking in response if he has tasted the wine. Jeff doesn't care whether everyone believes him or not, but he knows exactly who the losers were in today's archery competition. In an attempt to calm him down, the guy tells his son-in-law that it's just a joke and there's no need to worry. The head of the family asks Jeff what he knows about the Chinese economy, to which he replies that 1,000 miles away, across the river, you can see the Chinese dragon. In 2023, the Chinese economy has entered a new era and has achieved major changes in 3 areas, the first from which it began with international status. Kathleen hears the entire dialogue between the men and believes that the guy's remarks are not at all superficial, he is telling the real truth. Watching Jeff eat food, the blonde thinks about what kind of person he is after all. The father asks the guy what he thinks about their company. The main character replies that the head of the family should not be asked this, the question is about being their son, but he is not interested in this. Nicholas has a message on his phone for his father, saying that Jeff must die, asking him to be killed within a month. The main character feels that someone wants to kill him, then he will try to have a good time in this estate. Jeff needs to come up with something urgently so that there are no troubles. He shouts that he does not want to be an adopted son. The guy's reason is that he has his eye on their daughter. The blonde, with misunderstanding and panic, jumps up from her seat. She asks him what kind of nonsense he is talking about. The head of the family laughs at this and understands the youth who fall in love, but the daughter does not understand this. Jeff is not pursuing the goal of getting into this family, he just wants to have a good job and be close to Kathleen in order to take good care of her. The daughter screams that there are a lot of decent guys around her, no one allowed the main character to call her his girlfriend. The father asks the blonde to stop behaving like this, because it is indecent. The head of the family supports the guy, they say that he can choose any profession and his father will be happy with him, no one can interfere in his life. Jeff offers to become a driver to be closer to Kathleen. Everyone present in the dining room is perplexed by this statement. The head of the family is not against choosing this job, but he warns the main character that if he wants to be a driver, then he needs to live on their estate and be on call 24 hours a day. For Jeff, this is not a problem. Apparently, the gentleman is not going to give up his idea to install the guy, but he does not want the people he tried so hard to save to be in danger again, so he will need to be patient. The girl is disappointed, because her father has turned the situation around to his advantage, and her feelings are not taken into account at all. The sisters say that the main character still managed to stay in their house, they think that they need to find a way to drive him away. And the father is unshakable, he agrees to take Jeff to work as a driver. Despite all the events, the main character is still under the protection of their family. The gentleman has prepared a gift for the guy as a sign of gratitude, and hopes that he will be able to accept it. The guy thinks that if he takes the money, he won't be able to be part of the family normally, but he needs it. The main character says that he does not need this money, because he saved his daughter not out of a desire to make money, but out of conscience. Nicholas thinks that this is simply not enough for Jeff, perhaps in his plans to marry Kathleen and seize power over the family, he is only interested in money and women. The father is persistent and therefore they ask him to take this money, because his conscience is tormenting him. Jeff finds out how much is on this card and wants to take the money, because he really needs it. The butler approaches the guy and asks him to accept them, because his master is a kind man and if he does not accept the reward, he will blame himself for the rest of his life. The guy agrees to take it, but he no longer needs this money, because in a few minutes his account has multiplied many times, thanks to Mason. The twin sisters think that the main character does not accept money because he doesn't have enough of it, forcing their father to offer him more. The head of the family is relieved and asks the butler to take Jeff to the shopping center, because a family member should always look good. When everyone leaves the dining room, the main character slips a card with money under the plate of food. This family is used to living in grand style, but the guy prefers to be independent. Something pulls the main character out of his thoughts, he suddenly turns back. It turns out that these are Kaya and Ava, they came to say that their sister is waiting for him downstairs, and ask the guy to come down. Jeff says that he will go downstairs right away, and the girls catch themselves thinking that he is very handsome. Going down to the garage, the guy is very surprised at the presence of such a large number of expensive cars. Approach one of the cars, the main character knocks on the rear door window of the car. Kathleen window and asks the guy what he's doing. Jeff invites the girl to drive a red sports car. Crossing her arms, the blonde says that no one gave the guy the right to choose, she wants to go in this car, so he should get in and drive the car. Trying to achieve his goal, Jeff wonders if he will ever have the opportunity to get behind the wheel of such a sports car while he is not yet blind. Kathleen imagines how the guy sits on the cold asphalt and begs for money from passers-by, she feels sorry for him. After this, she still agrees to do as the main character would like. Approaching the red car, another car appears out of nowhere and a voice is heard asking if Jeff can drive sports cars. It turns out that this is Nicholas. he jokingly offers to teach the guy how to drive such cars. The boy from the main character's eye installs a sports car manual. Jeff thanks him for it. The guy agrees with Nicholas and says that it will be the first time he introduces such a car. He wishes him luck and quickly leaves. Kathleen asks if the main character knows how to drive a car, because he has been holding the steering wheel for 3 minutes. The guy calms her down, saying that everything is under control. Jeff presses the gas, and a roar is heard from the car's pipes. The car quickly picks up speed and rushes forward. Kathleen is very afraid, holding on to a special handrail in the car. She screams. Mason tells Jeff that there is a statistic that says that handsome drivers have a 12% easier time getting girls to fall in love with them at first sight. Jeff promises that he will try to look his best. Nicholas sees an approaching sports car in the mirror and realizes that it is Jeff trying to overtake him. The blonde guy decides to show the main character what it means to be unattainable. The car rushes forward at great speed, which surprises the guy. The girl in the car with Nicholas thinks that she definitely would not want to get into an accident. She doesn't understand why this hair color man has become so irritable lately. Arriving at their destination, Jeff asks the boy in his eye why the chance of love at first sight did not work, to which he replies that she wants to kill him because she was so scared. Kathleen sits on her knees and leans on the hood of the car, trying to catch her breath from the surging fear on the road. Security guards run to her to check if everything is okay with her. The men in suits tell Jeff that if he tried to harm the mistress, then he will have to deal with them. Ignoring the threat, the main character thinks and tries to count how many people the head of the family has installed. Kathleen asks the guard not to argue with the guy, because he is on good terms with his father. She calls Jeff with her. They need to go and choose clothes. The main character thinks that because he was too impulsive this time, without thinking about what the girl wants, so next time he will not be able to offer her anything. While the guys are walking towards the shopping center, people around them pay attention to this couple, saying out loud that they look good together. Arriving at the mall, Kathleen tells Jeff to choose clothes, but he replies that he doesn't like it here. She points at the shelves, saying that this is a luxury brand. The guy responds that he doesn't like it. The girl points to another store and asks Jeff if he likes it, but he is adamant and says no. Kathleen goes berserk thinking that the main character is doing this on purpose. Jeff asks the girl to stop acting as if she is already his wife, because he did not promise her that he would marry her. Suddenly the guy takes the blonde by the hand. She doesn't understand where they are going. The main character explains that they will still choose clothes for him. When he pays attention to one of the stores, asking the guy if he wants to go there. He confirms her guesses, but Kathleen doubts the correctness of this choice. Because the prices in this store are very low, the guy will be laughed at when he comes out in public, and the father will consider the girl to blame. In the shopping center, the couple meets an acquaintance. Jeff recognizes him and calls out to him. The young guy greets him without recognizing his friend. The guys start a dialogue. An acquaintance asks where Jeff has been all these 3 years. He replies that he came here today to take care of this guy's business. An acquaintance of the main character says that his results will not change things. It's all about a girl named Jasmine. It turns out that this guy's name is Liam. Back at university he was in love with a girl. She studied off campus, but never gave Liam a chance. Before Jeff could not even imagine that he would have supernatural abilities, and 3 years later an acquaintance of his will become a salesman in a clothing store. The clothing salesman calls out to Jasmine, showing the main character. The girl is very aggressive, probably tired by force. She asks if Liam wants to receive the goods. Suddenly, the salesgirl recognizes Jeff, saying that they haven't seen each other for a long time. She asks him if he has become a rich man, because Kathleen is next to him. Jasmine asks if his girlfriend is standing next to him and asks if he wants to introduce them, but the blonde replies that Jeff is her driver. The seller sighs. She is disappointed that her friend is a simple driver. The girl leaves, asking her colleague to offer Jeff something cheaper. Perhaps he won't be able to afford expensive clothes. Liam apologizes for Jasmine's behavior. She has been in a bad mood lately. He offers to bring what Jeff wants, to which he replies that he will not betray himself and their constant trio. The guy runs away, shouting after him that he knows better than anyone what the main character likes. Kathleen doesn't understand what we're talking about, what everything the guys were talking about means. The blonde waits for Jeff to try on the clothes Liam brought him. A guy comes out of the fitting room wearing a short-sleeve shirt, trousers and shoes. At the checkout, the girl runs through all the things they bought. naming the prices. Kathleen finds herself thinking that all the clothes she chose are inexpensive and look good. Jeff asks if his friend will receive some percentage of his purchase, to which Jasmine asks what he would like the commission to be paid out. After this question, he asks to pack 3 dresses for him. His friends are very surprised by this request and are in shock. Liam asks if these dresses should be packed. Jeff asks to pack, since the last time he was helped to earn money on the front market, there are now 34 million on his card. Kathleen thinks that the main character has finally woken up his conscience, otherwise his father's money is just gathering dust. Arriving at another store, Jeff asks the consultant to wrap the selected product for him. The seller explains that this is a limited collection and a lighter with a diamond worth 1 million, she asks if he is sure. The guy, without hesitating for a second, gives the girl his gold card. Kathleen doesn't understand why the main character buys cheap shirts, but she spends 1 million on her lighter. Jeff explains this by saying that he smokes, so he needs a lighter. There must be something unique about a man, like riding the bus to a restaurant. The saleswoman hands the gold card to the main character. The payment has been successfully completed. Leaving the mall, Jeff asks the blonde to wait for him here, because he needs to buy something. 10 minutes later the guy returns with 2 ice creams, but Kathleen doesn't understand how anyone can keep a girl waiting so long. The guy hands one of the ice creams to the girl standing next to him. Kathleen takes the ice cream and shows Jeff his mouth, saying that his lips are dirty. The main character licks his lips, asking the girl if they are clean now. The girl warns the main character that if she gets sick, it is his responsibility. Kathleen still tries the ice cream given by the main character. The blonde is very surprised to realize that the ice cream is incredibly tasty. The guy clarifies that in fact, girls shouldn't put on such a stern face, because she's a girl, which means she should look kinder. It's time to turn around, hearing the sound of approaching heels. It turns out that this is Jeff's former classmate, but they don't really know anything about each other. A girl he meets invites the main character to add each other as friends, so that when he gets bored late at night, they can chat. The guys exchange contacts, now they will always be in touch. Kathleen pulls Jeff's hand, saying that they need to go back and get some clothes, they still have things to do. The guy asks Mason what's the matter and why the blonde is so angry. He thinks that the girl is just jealous. The girl she meets plans to win a handsome man with a lot of money. A girl with lilac hair lies on her bed and writes to Jeff that she wants to introduce him to her old friend. The guy unfriends his new friend, and she throws her phone on the floor out of anger. The sisters go and think about what clothes the guy bought and how much it cost. Suddenly they have a new idea. Jeff takes Kathleen to a place where she asks him if he wants to remind her that she owes him for that incident 3 years ago. The guy thinks her idea is too boring, he calls her baby. The girl is furious because no one allowed the main character to call her that. Suddenly, the couple opens the door and enters an unknown room. They end up in a poor hospital, and Kathleen feels like she's in a horror movie. The girl gets scared and, hiding behind Jeff, asks what this place is. The grandfather, holding a stake in his hand, points it at the cut chest of the unconscious man. At some point, he turns around, asking the girl to close her mouth, because he is saving people. The stake pierces the flesh of the prone man, spilling blood everywhere. Kathleen is outraged by this, because in this way the person is not helping him. There are no medical remedies, no stylization, this is very irresponsible. The grandfather asks the girl to bandage the person if she has medical knowledge, asks the main character if he brought him wine. The blonde approaches the man lying on the bed, at which time Jeff says that he earned money. Kathleen wonders what kind of relationship her caretaker has with this old man. The guy says goodbye to his grandfather, saying that he is leaving. An old man with 2 small children says goodbye to the guys. He remembers to bring him wine. Kathleen doesn't understand what this place was, so she asks Jeff about it. He explains that it was a regular hospital, and this old man, the only doctor there, treats poor people who cannot afford treatment in a regular hospital. The girl asks who these 3 children were. Jeff says that they are growing up without parents, so this grandfather took on their upbringing. The blonde is very interested in the question of how this guy met this master. The main character begins to tell that 3 years ago, when he lost his eye, this old man saved him from death. The girl feels guilty, so she asks the guy for forgiveness. Jeff replies that if she feels guilty, why not make it up to her by sleeping with him tonight? The blonde gets embarrassed and calls the main character names. The guy laughs, saying that he was joking, but the girl does not understand such a joke. Kathleen noticed that the old man in the hospital does not have enough money, but the main character believes that he does not need her help. He gave several $100,000. At night it's time to return home. All the twin sisters happily greet them. One of them approaches the guy and hands him a key, saying that they have prepared his room. John thanks them. The boy from his right eye reports that these twins have good intentions towards him. Kathleen is surprised that her sisters were able to pack their things so quickly. She asks what floor their room is now on, to which the girls answer that their room is on the ground floor. The blonde is unhappy with this, because her beloved sisters now live in the basement. The girls ask not to forget that Jeff is the driver. It's not difficult for them to let him stay in the suite. Kathleen offers to start over. The main character is grateful to his family for having a roof over his head. The girls say that they will not allow Jeff to deceive their older sister. Seeing the long corridor on the top floor, the guy is very surprised by this. Mason informs the main character that a camera is watching him. He assumes that it must be the twins watching him. The girls look at the tablet screen. They see that the guy is already in the corridor. Kaya says what they're doing is very bad, but she's still looking forward to the show. Looking at the light bulb, the young man wonders why it caught fire. More than a dozen metal balls suddenly fly out at the guy, and he dodges them all with great speed, not allowing them to hit him. The twins look at the screen, wondering how Jeff dodged all the balls without allowing himself to be hit by any. Suddenly the tablet screen goes dark. The girls wonder why this happened. Kaya and Ada sigh noisily and look at each other in confusion about the situation. Jeff thinks with admiration that the twins were able to think of such a prank. At the same time he takes a bowl of water. Mason informs him that the reaction speed has been increased by 354%. The guy enters the basement and notes that although it is a little damp, he would not call it a basement. In the corridor, the main character discovers a piano and is very surprised by it. When he was little, he dreamed of becoming a pianist, but he doesn't have the skills. Mason improves Jeff's piano playing skills. He is very happy about this, because now he can do what he has dreamed of all his life. The main character sits down at the piano and starts playing it. He sings a song. The guy continues to sing and play. His dream has finally come true. He remembers his childhood, how he went to a fast food establishment and ate kebabs. Jeff listened to this song in his headphones, loved it very much, and now he was able to sing it and play a musical instrument. Mason supports the guy, saying that his skills are at a professional level. The boy is very sorry that he has to listen to such a beautiful song alone, but he filmed it and posted it on the internet. Mason thinks about the fact that Jeff has a very interesting name. Suddenly, their dialogue is interrupted by notifications from the protagonist's phone. He takes out the gadget and is surprised at how so many messages appeared on the phone, not understanding what is happening. The video that Mason posted is rapidly gaining views. Many people are downloading it, re-recording it, and re-watching it. Jeff sees a lot of rave reviews and comments about his work, thinking that in the age of social media this community should not be underestimated. But the guy believes that show business is difficult for him, so he will not develop this direction in his life. He wants to fulfill another dream of his, namely to open his own business. The twins sit in their room, one of them pondering why the trap she set didn't work. Ada invites her sister to go with her to the second floor in order to look their new brother in the face. Kaya does not answer the girl, so the sister is indignant and asks what she is watching. The twins look at the screen, which shows the video and Jeff, but Ada does not understand what is wrong with this video. Kaya invites her sister to listen to what a pleasant voice the main character has. The girl agrees, noting that it sounds good. The twins are discussing the guy in the video. He hides his name, only does music, and he already has 6 million subscribers. The sisters begin to argue which of them will marry the stranger they just saw. They scream so loudly that you can hear them even on the street. The father hears this noise while in his own bed. He does not understand why his daughters are so loud. The next day, sitting at hard work, the main character realizes that he is very hungry. Now even simple thoughts take away all his strength. He decides that he should go to the kitchen and cook something. Having opened the door, there are 2 silhouettes of girls behind it. Nothing foretells trouble. Suddenly, someone sprays into the eyes of the main character from an aerosol can with unknown contents. Jeff falls to the floor. No one could attack him in his room. It turns out that they were twin sisters who pulled a prank last night. The girls shout at the poor guy, saying that he is shameless and has the conscience to live in their house. The guy supports this and clarifies that he also lives on their money. Ada is about to say something, but she can't finish her sentence. All because Jeff leaves them in an unknown direction. the girls shout after him so that he should not dare enter their older sister's room. They are outraged and don't understand how someone can behave this way. There are food items on the table for cooking, the skill level is upgraded to a 3-star Michelin chef. The main character thanks the boy from his right eye. The twins look into the kitchen, watching the young man. They are very surprised, because they did not know that the guy could cook. One of the sisters watches the guy with admiration, and the other asks him to ask him for money for the food spent if Jeff decides to do something bad against them. The main character cooks peacefully, without disturbing anyone and not paying attention to anything. Ada admires Jeff as he starts frying something in a frying pan. The girl tries to calm herself. She does not want to succumb to the insidious plan of the protagonist. The sister calls out to Kaya and asks her not to forget about their plan. She says that they need to drive the guy away. The food is already ready. The main character calls the hungry girls to the table. They look at the prepared dish with their mouths open. It looks very tasty. It must smell good too. Ada realizes that this is fried rice with poison. She loves it very much. Jeff invites the twins to try his masterpiece. Kaya really wants to taste this miracle, but her sister interrupts her desire, saying that they will not try anything. The main character tries to seduce girls by talking about how delicious this dish is. He asks them if they really don't want to try. Ultimately, the girls finally give in and agree to eat with Jeff. The guy notices that they are acting like children. After emptying the entire plate to the bottom, the twin sisters agree that it was delicious. They laugh and chat with Jeff, saying that he owes them another 4 million. The main character asks why he hasn't seen Nicholas today. The twins explain that only he and Kathleen live in this house, and he and his wife live in their own house. The guy jokingly says that there are 3 stupid people in the house. The twins don't understand what he's talking about and ask Jeff about it. The guy laughs at their reaction, but does not give a clear answer. The main character got up from his seat and walked towards the exit, saying that girls should be more careful, especially at night. The girls are frightened by what he said and ask why he says it so seriously. At night, a guy stands on the roof of a mansion, looking into the distance. He thinks about the relationship between his 2 acquaintances. It's easy to guess that Nicholas is Kathleen's direct competitor in the struggle for control of the family's resources. But suddenly the main character has an epiphany. He realizes something. Mason asks the guy not to worry, because the entire estate is under his control. Jeff asks to follow Nicholas through the cameras. The boy from the eye says that he can. Now the blonde man decided to have some fun. Mason shows the main character a recording from surveillance cameras, which shows half-naked bodies. Nicholas lies on the bed, surrounded by 2 girls unknown to Jeff. The blonde man hugs them, enjoying the process is visible on his face. He wants to kiss one of them, reaches out with his lips to her. Jeff is outraged by what he sees, because his brother-in-law married his older sister, but is having fun with 2 other girls. In the morning, Kathleen is waiting for the main character at the entrance, indignant at where he has been disappearing for so long. The security guard tells her that he knocked on the guy's door, but he didn't open it. Maybe he's still sleeping. The man offers to escort the girl. Kathleen responds that Jeff has to do his job and just because he is her driver doesn't give him the right to be late. She asks him to keep knocking on his door until he wakes up. But suddenly the girl stops the security guard, who turns around in bewilderment. The main character runs towards the blonde, holding a huge package in his hand. Kathleen assumes the guy was out for a run. Jeff hands his lady a bag of buns. It took him an hour to get to a popular bakery in town. The girl is very surprised by this, because the bakery is located 20 kilometers from their house, but the guy was able to cover this distance in an hour. She believes that even this run cannot justify being late. The guard is informed via earpiece that Jeff actually ran 20 kilometers round trip in an hour. He admires the guy's physical fitness, and he goes to the shower. Kathleen thinks the main character is arrogant. She doesn't understand why conscientious drivers should resign. The man stands in bewilderment, not knowing how to respond to this. Sitting in the car, Kathleen watches a popular video. She recognizes a guy she knows in it. The girl doesn't understand why Jeff has become so popular. She asks herself the question of who her driver really is. Getting out of the massive car, the girl heads forward. A couple enters some room. A girl is standing at the reception. Apparently the daughter must participate in some kind of business competition. Kathleen wonders what her driver was thinking. This is the financial culture of their company. All employees, sellers, must be of value to the company, and it is no exception. the company was able to reach today through a lot of work. The guy asks if he can go into sales and get to the top if he is now also a member of the family. The girl answers him negatively. Two guards greet the lady, who greets them back. Suddenly, among all the people, there is a charming girl with long blue hair. She also says hello to Kathleen. The girl holds out a stack of documents for signing. The ladies enter the office. The lady asks for her assistant with the general director from the hospital. The assistant looks at the guy with interest, asks who he is. He just thinks that she looks like a cute puppy. Kathleen explains that Jeff is her driver. The girl calms down. Hearing this, she calms down. The assistant pulls the guy out of the office, saying that the lady should not be disturbed. The girl suggests going to another office. The girl sits on the table next to the guy and explains that the main character is no match for such a goddess as the mistress and offers to look at her. Jeff reads information about the assistant using the capabilities of his right eye. The girl invites the main character to add her as a friend. He thinks that she looks cute and down to earth. Suddenly Kathleen appears on the screen, sitting at her desk, asking her to keep her distance from her driver. She waves her hands and replies that she already knows everything. The girl turns to Jeff and tells him not to look at her like that, because the lady has already found a man for her heart. The guy asks who this guy is. The assistant replies that she doesn't know his name, she only knows what it is. The guy saved Kathleen 3 years ago. He is a real savior for her. The girl is very interested in the question of whether the lady has found her hero. Suddenly the guy realizes that Kathleen considers him her savior. Suddenly Mason tells his owner that something strange is happening in this office. The boy calms the guy down. The situation seems funny to him. In the office there are 3 vases for prayers, a painting lying as if on a grave, statues as if from a mausoleum. According to Mason's analysis, all these attributes are needed for a curse. The boy finds it funny that people believe in various curses and gods. The main character clarifies whether this curse is a fiction. Mason is sure that these are just legends from local folklore, based on epics. The guy realizes everything he heard. Jeff gets up from his seat and tells his assistant that he is going to the restroom. He enters Kathleen's room. She is indignant that the main character came in without knocking. The guy says that the vases look good. The gentlemen explain that they are a gift from the vice president. They are old antiques. If Jeff breaks them, he will sell a kidney for their restoration. The main character asks what about the painting. Kathleen explains that it is a gift from another vice president. The statues are called water dragon pearls and are an exclusive handmade product, a gift from Nicholas. Mason considers him a real hypocrite. Apparently the vice president is his accomplices. The guy pushes one of the vases. He believes that the curse needs to be lifted. Jeff pretends this wasn't done on purpose. Kathleen becomes enraged and screams at him to get his hands off her vase. A vase, broken into a pile of small pieces, lies on the floor. The guy explains that he didn't do it on purpose. The lady's assistant runs into the office. She came running in response to the noise. The girl is shocked by what she sees and does not understand what is happening. Jeff says that these are just vases. He promises to return every penny. The lady says that the price of this vase on the market is about 6 million. Kathleen sighs and says she will deduct the money from his salary. The main character says that he can invest 100 million in their company. The girl does not believe in his strength. The assistant reports that it is time for her and her mistress to leave the hospital for a meeting with the minister. Kathleen quickly leaves, shouting after her for the girl to call the cleaner. The twins were playing tennis. One of them says that she is very tired and suggests going home and resting. Returning to the building, the sister does not understand where the set table came from. The girl notices a gold card lying under the plate. The sisters realize that this is the card that their father gave to Jeff. He did not accept it, which means he did not spend the money. It turns out that he is a real gentleman. The girls regret that they called him names and accused him. The twins remember all the moments associated with the main character, and remember with horror that they subtracted 5 million from him. The sisters think that Jeff is noble and handsome, and is also an amazing cook. They believe that they are very guilty towards the guy and decide to apologize to him. Kaya thinks about the fact that if the main character did not take money, then where did he get new clothes from? Ada decides that he must have been spending the third sister's money. The girls decide that Jeff left the card there on purpose to make them feel guilty and for him to behave inappropriately. Sometimes people seem to be kind, but in reality they have ulterior motives, and that's terrible. Kaya is perplexed how it was possible to leave so much money here. she spends 5 million in a few months. The girl invites her sister to spend this money in secret from everyone. Jeff sneezes while driving and wonders if maybe someone remembers him. The assistant tells her mistress that the hospital has refused them a joint project 3 times already. It is unlikely that they will agree now, but Kathleen is sure that she must win this order for 1 billion. The girl assumes that the minister of the hospital treats the madam poorly. She is confident in what she is doing. Not only her reputation is at stake, but also the reputation of her father. The guy thinks about this dialogue, because the company of this family produces medical equipment, and this hospital is the largest in the city. Apparently it is very difficult to deal with the gentleman. Bright rays of light break through the clouds, illuminating everything around. The man greets everyone, rejoicing at the arrival of the lady. The project they were discussing would be very difficult to implement. The man offers to sit down, because they have a lot to talk about. Jeff immediately asks his little assistant to find information about this gentleman. It turns out that due to the hospital's negligent attitude towards its patients, hundreds of people suffered from poor medical care. Many lost their health because counterfeit drugs were used. But in the end, the hospital did not suffer any punishment, and now this chaos is still ongoing. Jeff thinks that hell is empty and demons have descended on earth. If such people live happily, then why do we need heaven and hell? Kathleen offers favorable terms to the gentleman from the hospital, but he does not believe that everything is negotiable. He suggests booking 2 suites at a nearby hotel and discussing the matter over dinner. The main character is beside himself with rage. He is infuriated by the fact that this man dares to offer the hotel to Kathleen. Jeff continues to scream. He does not understand how this can be proposed to a young girl. The blonde asks the guy to shut up immediately, because this cooperation is very important to her. The girl tries to explain herself, saying that this is her new driver, who is not yet accustomed to the job. The gentleman tells the guy that he should not interfere in the affairs of his superiors and hopes that he will learn his lesson. Behind this man are his older brothers. If they don't like something, then no one in the whole country will dare to work with them. The blonde is very worried. She doesn't like what is happening. The lady clarifies if she agrees to go to dinner, will their cooperation be valid? The man reassures her, saying that she can calmly enjoy her fame. The girl sets conditions. Firstly, it's just dinner, and secondly, she will be with her assistant. The man smiles sarcastically, but agrees to these conditions. The thought slips into the main character's head that tonight he will earn a lot of money. The trio leaves the building. Kathleen does not understand how the guy dares to make her wait. He tells her that she herself said that everyone in their family can sell their services, and he is also a person. The girl asks the main character to stop behaving like this. He leaves, shouting after him that he only needs 5 minutes. The guy enters the gentleman's office. He asks why he entered without knocking. Jeff, without answering anything in response, stands on the gentleman's table. He is very frightened by this. He breaks out in a cold sweat. The main character, standing over the man, says that he is a real animal. The gentleman jumps up from his seat, shouting furiously. He threatens the guy. Jeff says a man should check his email before saying all this. It turns out that the guy sent a video with incriminating evidence against the gentleman from the hospital. In the video, he says that if employees were told to use counterfeit drugs, then let them carry out the order, it won't kill anyone. There is also a video where a man says that everything in life can be solved with money. The gentleman is very frightened by this, because if this information leaks to the media, he will not be able to pay for it even at the cost of his life. In order to find out the name of the guy standing in front of him, the man lies that he has a bad memory and asks to introduce himself. The main character says that he is Mrs. Kathleen's new driver and his name is Jeff. The gentleman sits on his knees, asking him to have mercy. He does not want to be punished for all his actions. The guy says, since now the man knows what he is guilty of, then let him do something to please him. Jeff returns to the girls and Kathleen is indignant, saying that she asked not to go. The guy again did not obey her. She says that the guys should return to the company, but the guy asks to wait a little. The gentleman from the hospital leaves the room and walks towards the people standing on the street. He brought a contract and Kathleen must sign it right now. The man signed everything and certified it with the hospital seal. All that remains is to sign. The gentleman immediately realized that an order for 1 billion would not be enough, so he was ready to pay 2 billion. The assistant thinks about his strange behavior, because businessmen usually don't negotiate like that. The girl checks the contract. There seems to be no catch in it. The man is very serious. Kathleen says she's happy with everything and leaves her signature. Sitting in the car, The blonde thinks that this is the biggest contract in her entire career in this company. This contract is quite enough to bring any employee to the top of the sales rankings. The assistant reports that they received a payment worth $2 billion from the gentleman at the hospital. The blonde asks Jeff what he told the man since he agreed to sign a contract with them. The guy explains that he has some hacking skills, so he was able to find out about some of the dark affairs of the gentleman. The main character threatened him to release the information to the media. Kathleen indignantly asks if the guy can behave normally. Jeff jokingly replies that he is just the man's nephew. The main character asks how their company calculates the commission for a transaction. The blonde explains the details. The guy will receive about $10 million. But Jeff doesn't need the money. He tells Kathleen to leave this money as compensation for the broken vase. The girl is pleasantly surprised by this. For the remaining $4 million, the guy offers to take the lady to a psychologist, reminding her that she always has him, who is ready to look after her. Kathleen is embarrassed and blushes at the words she hears. The assistant thinks that there is clearly something between the couple. She feels it. People working in the company are chatting. They are happy for their mistress's victory. They are wondering who Jeff is. Two girls discuss how one of them recently saw a teenager with Kathleen. They are interested in the question of whether the mistress cares about this guy. Suddenly, a man's hand rests on the shoulder of the interested girl. It turns out that this is Jeff. He gives advice to the girl: you shouldn't talk about the company's employees in public. Who knows, maybe one of them will become the son-in-law of their chairman. Taking the main character by the hand, Kathleen drags him along and asks him not to disgrace himself in front of his employees. The assistant continues to believe that there is something between the guys. The gentleman from the hospital is talking to his brother, recounting the recent situation with Jeff. The man promises to kill this guy, otherwise he will not be able to sleep or eat. The brother becomes interested in this man, saying that someone recently offered $5 million for his head. The working day is finally ending. Some invite their colleagues to go to the new restaurant. It has an excellent bar menu. Entering one of the offices, Jeff and Kathleen look questioningly at something. The assistant stands leaning on the wall. She invites the main character to go to dinner tonight. The gentleman replies that the girl already has a lot of work, and she and Jeff will have dinner at home. On the way home, the guy says he discovered something strange. The girl does not understand what is being said, but the main character explains that the assistant wants to sleep with him, and the gentleman is jealous. Kathleen freaks out about what she heard, saying that the guy doesn't eat crap, and he laughs good-naturedly. The sun hid behind the horizon, and the moon rose in its place, illuminating the sparsely populated paths. The whole family has already gathered at the table, waiting for dinner to start. The twins admire the beauty of the food, but Kathleen cannot stop thinking about her driver. She did not think that he was capable of such a thing. The main character invites everyone to the table. The girls are happy about this and get ready to start dinner. Suddenly something distracts them. The girls look in panic at something amazing. It turns out that a gust of hunger has awakened in Jeff again. He greedily absorbs everything he sees. Mason praises the guy. He is glad that he wants to go against genetics and become bigger. The strength of the main character is increased several times and he becomes stronger than most people on the planet. The older sister tells Kaya and Ada that after such a difficult meal they should go in for sports. The girls are only indignant. Having calmed down, Kathleen approaches the main character and calls him with her. The twins imagine that their sister will now change into boxing clothes and start beating their new family member. The girls laugh quietly at this, but the others don't understand the reason for the laughter. The guy playfully asks if she is sure that she wants this. The lady is embarrassed, but still responds in an indignant voice that the guy is once again talking nonsense. The guys find themselves in the gym. Kathleen is dressed in a boxing photo, and the main character is still standing in the same thing, holding his hands in his pockets. The girl asks if he wants to change clothes, because fighting in a shirt and trousers is quite problematic. He stretches out his outerwear, saying that he will just take off the excess. The guy asks for the last time if the blonde is sure of her intentions. Jeff takes off his shirt and then tosses it to the side. The twins admire the guy's shape. They praise him and give him compliments. The main character looks at his new body, which Mason spoke about. Kathleen stands in a daze. She can't take her eyes off the guy's torso. Jeff breaks the awkward silence by asking about the location of their battle. The girl is embarrassed. She feels like a nymphomaniac, although she simply scheduled a fight for her driver. She once had a red belt in boxing, but the main character's muscles are inferior to hers. Once a guy gives up on Kathleen, there's nothing she can do. Jeff, waiting for the start, asks when they will fight. The mistress decides to get out of the situation and asks if he is ready to do this to a weak girl. He does not understand anything. The guy asked twice if she was sure of her words. Jeff jokingly replies that if the lady admits defeat, he will let her go today. Suddenly a security guard bursts into the gym. He heard about the sparring and came to watch. The man says that Kathleen is not a rival to the main character, after which he offers to fight with him. When he was 10 years old, he was adopted by the head of this family. Since childhood, the guard was trained in various martial arts. Even if he faces a bunch of bandits, he will defeat them all without receiving a single injury. But 3 years ago the man failed to come to Kathleen's aid and still blames himself for it. The girl thinks that her current driver is not only very strange, but also evil in the flesh. The guard gets into a fighting stance and offers to start the fight. Jeff is warming up. He supports the idea of starting a battle. Kathleen asks the guard to be careful, he should not harm the guy. The man talks about his achievements, and in response, asking his opponent to talk about himself, the main character admires the fact that his opponent cares about his country, has accomplished so many great feats, and is an honored fighter. The guy replies that he is an ordinary citizen of his country, who, thanks to the grace of God, learn to fight. The guard guarantees that they will find out the truth with the help of his hands, since the guy does not want to talk about it himself. The man takes off from his seat, heading forward, makes a strong blow, but Jeff manages to dodge. Mason talks about an aura that can physically overwhelm another person. The guard notes that the main character's speed is excellent. Jeff was able to not only improve his body and increase his strength, but also raise the characteristics of his own aura. Mason reports that the strength of the aura is now directly related to the strength of the body. The protagonist activates his strongest aura to suppress his opponent. He thinks that the guy probably came out of hell itself. The man thinks that Jeff is not just a man, he is sure that the guy comes from the king's army. The security guard stops the guy, saying that he understood everything. The guy laughs, saying that he didn't even have time to have fun, he has plenty of strength, but not enough fighting skills. He is a brave, loyal and smart person, so you can admire him too. The guy says there are too many people in the room and suggests going to another room. Suddenly the guard begins to salute and says that he is ready to serve the main character. Kathleen gets angry at the two guys and yells at them to stop right now. The guard sighs in frustration and asks her if she agrees with him. The girls lean against the door and listen, wondering if Jeff will be able to leave the room on his own. The guys begin to train. The main character explains to the guard how to fight. At one point the guy misses the man, he was able to dodge the blow. Jeff laughs and praises his student, Eastern Excalibur taught him well. The man falls into a stupor, because this organization is a secret intelligence service. Only the naval general knows about its existence. Apparently the second person who knows about it is Jeff. The man begins to talk about how he was very worried about the guy. If the main character knows about the existence of this special service, it means that he is its leader. The guard bows to the guy. Jeff thinks about whether to tell him that he doesn't know anything. The main character asks what kind of hooligans we are talking about. The man explains that the head of the underworld is offering $5 million for his head. Jeff thinks that for 20 years he has not had any problems, but when he came into the family, ill-wishers appeared. The first is Nicholas, who is afraid that the guy wants to seize his power. The second is the director of the hospital, whom he forced to sign the agreement. The guard offers to send his brothers to deal with this situation. They still have some influence in the city. The main character clarifies how he knows about the $5 million reward. This information is translated from mouth to mouth, but the man was told about this by the underground head of the underworld. It was with this person that Nicholas spoke most recently. Jeff follows to the exit. The guard asks him to wait, but he asks him not to worry. The man says that his instructor recently came to the city. He was promoted to the secret forces. The main character probably knows him. The guy asks to tell him in advance before telling the instructor this information. Jeff worries that if he is exposed, he will have no way to explain his new powers. Meeting her driver, Kathleen asks him if he's okay. The guy asks if he said that a girl shouldn't behave like that. The lady withdraws her hand and is greatly indignant at what was said. The guy quickly leaves and waves his hand at the girl. The blonde asks the guard what happened between them during this time. She asks if the man beat Jeff, and he replies that he can't tell everything. From now on, the main character will protect the girl. She doesn't have to worry about anything. The guy sits calmly on his phone at his desk, with no signs of trouble. On the screen is a photograph of one of the twin sisters. The phone announces that Ada is broadcasting live 20 meters away. The guy signs up for his new sister, who sings a cover of a song that the main character recently sang. A lot of people in the comments notice Jeff's appearance on the broadcast and start writing comments, after which he leaves it, not expecting that his song caused such a stir, because he wrote it for himself. Kaya catches up with her sister in the corridor. She is very interested in the question of how she knows the guy from the popular video. Ada is indignant, because she has already repeated to her sister many times that she does not know him. The girl does not lag behind, she repeats it many times, trying to get to the bottom of the truth. Kaya offers to invite the singer to the filming of a film from her older sister. She really wants to meet him. Ada cries as she talks about not having a popular guy's contact. In the office, the girls are discussing Jeff's appearance. He is very handsome, many want to meet him. The impulse not only releases the aura, but also releases male desire. Its charm spreads throughout the body. Sitting down at the computer, the main character asks Mason to find information about the head of the underground business. The guy thinks that this person is really something. He's a boss, he's involved in business, it's not a shame to devote time to underground trading. This man's name is Edgar. The main character promises to have fun with him. A man lights his cigar with what must be a very expensive gold lighter. This is Edgar. He is surrounded by his secretary. The man is sitting on a chair and enjoying quality tobacco. Suddenly one of the assistants bursts into the office and shouts that something strange is happening. About 2 hours ago, police visited 2 of their ports, and a ship that was delivering a new order was also intercepted by coastal police. Edgar puts out his cigar, suggesting that traitors have appeared among his own. When the assistants were interviewing the guards, an ominous call rang out. The person on the other side of the phone said that there was no point in looking for a traitor. Edgar, after listening to all the information, says that something interesting must be happening this time. The assistant takes the phone, informing his master that his father is calling. Laughter is heard from the receiver. The man calls him a good boy. The man admires, thinking that the words were directed in his direction, but they said it over the phone. Edgar threatens the voice on the phone, but it calmly invites him to come to him if he has the strength. The gentleman flies into a rage and throws the phone on the floor. The secretary with a calm expression on her face offers to trace where the call was made. Edgar asks her to contact the most experienced hacker so that he can track the person at all costs. The boss is informed that the man has been found. He is now in an internet cafe, next to the nightclub. Edgar asks to send 30 guys there to bring this guy to him. The man just received a new call from a different phone number. He doesn't understand how this is possible. The man on the phone offers to give the boss some advice, and also says that they should have found a new hacker. An unknown person hands someone a gold card, asks to kick all the people out of the rooms. Since he plans to stay here, he promises to give 1 million for this. The man good-naturedly agrees to this, smiling broadly. He wonders who Jeff is. Apparently this is the rich man who does nothing but fight. Suddenly, many men of different ages rush into the room. They hold a bunch of swords in their hands. They scream loudly and run towards the main character. The guy peacefully smokes a cigarette, hoping that today he will have fun. Taking the cigarette out of his mouth, Jeff throws it at one of the men's faces, narrowly missing his eye. He stands up, jumps up and kicks the other man in the face. Suddenly, another man appears behind the guy, swinging his sword at him. The main character fights. He deftly deals with each of the people who attack the guy. 5 minutes later, there is not a single one left among the attacking people who can stand on their feet. Jeff asks to tell Edgar that he will find the man sooner or later. The main character thinks that apparently he will have to visit Edgar himself. The assistant runs to his boss, reporting that they almost lost 100 of their best fighters. The man thinks that if they were able to deal with 100 of his people, then there were at least 200 of them. The guy says that Jeff was completely alone. He is incredibly strong. Edgar is completely shocked by what he hears. It seems to him that the main character is a monster. He demands to gather his best fighters, not believing that they will not be able to defeat the main character. The assistant calls on the phone, saying that the boss ordered to kill this guy. They answer that they are already leaving. People went to the place in order to eliminate the threat. The silence is broken by a loud explosion in the next room, pieces of furniture flying everywhere. An unknown man enters the office. Clouds of smoke and dust are flying everywhere. The boss calls out the man's name. His name is Jack. He asks what happened to that guy. Jack falls unconscious on the floor. Edgar and his assistant step aside in shock. Jeff appears in front of them. He looks at people with indifference, holding a cigarette in his hand. The sky turned red, leaving only piles of ash around. The assistant and Edgar look at their surroundings from the outside in horror. On a mountain of dead people stands an unknown long-haired guy with a spear behind his back. Edgar finds himself indoors again. He rubs his eyes in panic. It turns out that he was just imagining things. The guy asks his master if he saw what Jeff was doing. He almost fell from fear. The main character calls out to Edgar. Apparently they have something to discuss. He asks why such a kind and sympathetic person. They offer 5 million. The guy asks if Edgar thinks this amount is justified. In a panic, the man explains that they have their own underground business, but he doesn't hold a grudge against him at all. Jeff puts his hand on Edgar's shoulder, telling him that this is not the place to talk. The main character believes that the boss is worthy of his title, but he will only give 10 seconds to admit his mistake. The master's secretary comes into the room, apologizes to Jeff and says that Edgar admits his mistake. The guy says that he now has all the necessary information about the secretary and has an idea about her true identity. The girl thinks about how Jeff learned information about her. She doesn't understand what he needs. The secretary says that they should cancel the next meeting and continue communicating with this young man. The main character says that if he wants to find out information about even the most secret person, then no one will stop him. The secretary says that if the guy wants, her boss will be at his service, but she asks that her identity not be made public. Jeff turns his back to the people. He asks if they know who is asking for 5 million on his head. The girl says that this is the vice president, one of the people who gave the collectible in Kathleen's office. The secretary offers to deliver one important person to the main character, but he asks for his teeth, for each of which he will give 1 million. She says they can handle it easily, but wonders what the teeth are for. The guy briefly replies that these details no longer concern them. The only request is that he receive 1 tooth per day.